Hey folks, it is the middle of February and this video is going to be done just a little bit differently. Last weekend I had attended Woodinville Whiskey Company's 10th anniversary party at the distillery, and I had planned on putting out all the video that I had taken at the party last week. Unfortunately, I got hit with, well, three things really that kind of came into a confluence. One was a upper respiratory infection powered by a sore throat, then powered by an eye infection, which made it impossible to review any wine or whiskey this week. Then we also had hired a handyman / contractor to start tearing down our basement so I can have a proper studio in my man cave. And then on top of that, when I downloaded a lot of my footage, I had some audio problems. So this video is going to be a little bit longer. I am still going to review this particular bottle. And this particular bottle is a very special bottle that Woodinville did for their release. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and take a look at the footage from last weekend. Here we go. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Scott. You are rookie wine and whiskey enthusiast, and we are here at the Woodinville 10-year anniversary celebration. We're going to go ahead. I'm here with several of my friends. There's Robert. You've seen him before. I got Tony and Renee, and I've got some friends from work. Pat and John and his wife, and we are here. I'm going to go and take some video, and we're going to see how this plays out. So enjoy. Folks, you can't imagine how it smells in here right now. This is amazing. Hey, this is Scott. I've got one of the co-owners of Woodinville Whiskey right here. Brett.
How's it going?
I have known you for 10 years.
It has been 10 years. I can't believe it.
Yeah, the company I work for, still work for to this day. We were delivering freight to you guys when you were in that little strip mall across the way.
Yep.
Today's a special day. It really is. 10 years in the distilling industry. It's tough. I'm sure you guys had some rough years. You've had some really good years. Your years in the last couple of years have just been fantastic. We're putting out great products. Can you let us know what you're putting out today and why it's special?
So today, for our 10th anniversary, we decided to release a bottled and bond bourbon. So the bottled and bond, for those who don't know, is an act back in 1897. It was actually the first federal consumer protection act ever enacted in the United States, before any food safety acts were enacted. It was 6 years after that the first food safety act was enacted. Mm-hmm. So the government was more involved in protecting whiskey over food, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. But the reason for it is, back before that, people were taking barrels of whiskey from distilleries, buying them, and then they were diluting them down with other things so it stretched further. It's almost like a drug dealer cutting his coke with baking soda or something.
And one of the popular things that they used to add to it was tobacco juice out of a spittoon.
Tobacco juice, prune juice. I've heard rattlesnake heads. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they were taking those, after the barrels were sold, they would take vodka and put it back in the barrel and add all these different flavorings to mimic the color and taste of bourbon.
Yep.
So when this was enacted, if you saw a bottle on the shelf that said bottle and bond, you knew it was guaranteed to be of good quality. It's almost like going to the grocery store and seeing USDA organic versus a standard product. So it's certified organic. You know you can trust that it's grown without pesticides and fertilizers and whatnot.
Now, to be honest with you, a lot of fans of Woodinville have wanted you guys to put it in a bottle bond because we know you guys have always done that 4-year, a little over 4-year, 4 to 5 year, but because of the way you guys blend, it's really hard to get that bottled in bond because you have that different that season rule, wasn't it?
Well, technically, yeah. So the Bottled and Bond Act basically says it must be from one distillery, which we make everything here.
Yep.
From one distilling season, and there are 2 distilling seasons. There's basically the spring season, which is from January to June, and then from July to December is the fall season. So we technically have been doing bottled and bond our entire existence.
Right.
We just have never bottled it at the legal requirement 100 proof.
Okay.
So what we released today was a very, very select small batch of 4 barrels.
Yeah.
That I hand tasted and then put them together for this release. I think it's pretty special. It's pretty awesome.
I'm looking forward to comparing it. I haven't even tried it. This is it right here.
And based on the response we've gotten so far today, people are asking, are we going to do more of this and more of this? And I think we're going to have to do more of the Bottled and Bond product because it's been a hit so far.
Good. Now, you also have a release today that I'm especially excited about. And I met one of your distillers at an event down in El Lago restaurant down in Pierce County.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him about you guys doing a wine cast or an Ardbeg finish cast. I'd like to think that played an influence a couple years ago, but tell us about what happened with your triple barrel finished whiskey.
Yes, so I'm always looking to do something different and off the wall, and I've had the idea of finishing some of our whiskey in a used Scotch barrel, especially an Islay Scotch barrel, which is really super smoky and peaty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started talking to Brendan McCarran. He is the head guy at Glenmorangie and Ardbeg Distilleries, and he was out here, and we actually sat around the fire pit at Orland's house with all the Woodinville products and a bottle of Ardbeg, and we took a dropper and we started putting droppers in all our different products and seeing which product would marry well with the Ardbeg.
Now I saw the picture. It magnified that picture. What bottle of Ardbeg were you using? Was it Ugadal?
We actually were using the 10, I believe.
The 10-year,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we were just using the standard 10. And I personally thought the bourbon was going to be the best, but I was wrong. It ended up being our double barrel blended whiskey.
Okay.
Married best with that. So it made sense that we're calling it the triple barrel because how we make our double barrel, it goes into a brand new charred oak barrel first.
Okay.
And then it's rebarreled into a used bourbon barrel to basically mellow it out even more. And then it's bottled for our double barrel. Well, we took it a step further and put it in a third barrel in these used Ardbeg barrels, and we didn't know how long it was going to take, but I decided to pull a sample one day. I'm like, yeah, I should probably check this. It's a pretty smoky, peaty product, and I tasted it. I'm like, holy crap, we've got to bring it out of the barrel right now. So we basically emptied the barrels, put it in bottle, even before we had a label designed, because I knew it was ready. It was perfect. It had the perfect. You haven't tried it yet?
I have not tried it
but
yet.
You're going to be excited because there's so many different layers in this whiskey. When you try it, you immediately get hit with some subtle vanilla bean hints. You get like dried stone fruit, and then all of a sudden you get this smoky brininess that starts to hit you.
Really?
And then the finish it lingers and lingers and lingers. You got that
that's
smokiness. It's not overpowering like an Ardbeg smoke, but it's nice and subtle.
Yeah. See, I get when I have an Ardbeg, first thing that hits my mouth is a meaty savoriness to it.
Yep.
That's what I'm really looking forward to see how that marries with this.
We're really excited about this product because it was just an experiment gone right. We've done a lot of experiments here, and really proud of this one. It's probably one of my favorite whiskeys we've ever created here.
Well, listen, Brett, I know it's a busy day today. I'm going to go ahead. Thank you for taking time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
talking to the people who subscribe are going to want to watch this.
Yes.
You guys are expanding. It's like I said, I've been watching you guys for 10 years. I've been a fan for 10 years.
I know you have. It's been amazing.
And I'll tell you, I talk about, there's the Kentucky whiskey scene, and I will tell anybody, and I've told people this, I will put your guys' product up against anything that Kentucky produces. And, Texas whiskey scene right now is hot as well.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, there's something special about what you guys are doing. You guys are doing it right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, you know what? It's in every bottle. It's really a labor of love. I mean, two best friends started this business from nothing. We didn't know any better, and we got into it and decided that we have to make this work, and we're going to make the best product possible. And 10 years later, we're standing here, and we have a big, huge following out here, and it's pretty amazing. And we honestly wouldn't be here without fans like you spreading the word and out telling people about our product. It's been a really grassroots effort from day one.
Well, I appreciate it. Listen, I've been here on releases where people have spent the night at your distillery.
And that's pretty special in my heart, to come in the morning and there's a line around the building waiting to try our products and buy our products, which is it's pretty special and pretty amazing.
Well, listen, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You have a great, congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you.
Here's to another 10 years.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And I know you got to get out there, and you got a lot of people wanting to talk to you. Thank you.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brett.
Thanks.
Guys, thank you much. All right, just had the interview with Brett. I'm telling you right now, this bottled and bond is quite spectacular. Their 90 proof their 90 proof is really, really good. But I gotta say, I've had their cask strength. Their cask strength is amazing. But at the 100% bottled and bond, I can't wait to do a full review on this. And we're gonna head upstairs now, and we're gonna go ahead and explore what I'm thinking is probably the most exciting product, which is their Ardbeg finished triple barreled whiskey. So, salon. Kentucky, eat your heart out. All right, we're up at the top level here at Woodinville. This is my first impression. I just got this poured. This is the triple barreled Ardbeg finished American whiskey. I'm going to tell you right now, you can tell it's Ardbeg on the nose. Oh man, savoriness of this whiskey. There is, holy smokes, that is all Ardbeg. On the finish, you're talking that meaty, savory, briny note that Ardbeg is known for. I can't wait to do a full review of this whiskey. Let's go find the brand ambassador and see if we can get a talk to him as well. All right, as you saw in the last clip, a little bit of the audio started to get a lot of static, and unfortunately I did have a great interview with a national brand ambassador with for Ardbeg, and in the video, and I'm hoping to get in contact with him again and maybe do a separate interview, because after Hennessy purchased the Woodinville Whiskey Company, they really did have a hands-off approach, and this is what makes American craft whiskey so explosive right now. And it doesn't matter if it's Balcones, if it's Westland, if it's Woodinville, if it's Wanderback down in Oregon, if it's I believe it's Cedar Ridge in Iowa, or Sagamore in Maryland, or Mackenzie in New York State. You have a bunch of craft distilleries that are willing to experiment, something that the big boys are not willing to do. Anyways, in the interview with the national brand ambassador, you learn some things about how the guys over at Woodinville talk to some of the developers and the barrel managers at Ardbeg and at Glenmorangie and at Hennessy, and how somebody like Dr. Bill Lumpson has his sphere of influence now in a craft distillery. And for those that don't know, Dr. Bill Lumpson is really he's considered the mad scientist of the Scotch world. And it is my goal, one of my goals in life, to meet this man. For those that don't know, he is one of the most interesting individuals that the Scotch industry has. And he's one of those individuals that's going to save the Scotch industry from itself. So anyways, that being said, we're going to go ahead and discuss this particular Special release. I mean, this Woodinville has an American whiskey, a blended double-barreled American whiskey that is good. I've never been a real big fan of it, but it has its potential. And I think one of the reasons that was holding it back, personally for me, was it was bottled at 86%. This is a triple-barrel blended American whiskey, bottled at 91%, but it was finished in an Ardbeg cask. Let's go ahead and open it up. You know, a couple years ago, I was at a whiskey tasting over here at a local restaurant called Al Lago, and the owner, George Fleiss, wonderful man, has a good wine selection over here. So if you're in the Pierce County area, he has a very good wine and a decent whiskey selection. So come on, stop by. Anyways, he was hosting a Woodinville tasting, and I got to meet one of the distillers that they have. And he is Scottish. I don't remember his name offhand right now. I had hoped to see him and do an interview with him as well, but after my audio issues, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because I didn't want to ruin two interviews. Now I do, as you saw in the previous footage, I did have an interview in Brett's office, and he's an amazing man. I've known him for 10 years. Him and Olin are two best friends who really did want to just start a whiskey company, and they were kind of at the forefront 10 years ago. They brought in Dave Pickerel. They followed Dave's method. Rest in peace, Dave. By the way, you've done some amazing work as a hired gun. And for those that don't know, Dave Pickerel was, I believe, a master distiller at Maker's Mark. And for those, I mean, Maker's Mark is one of the best brands out there, one of the most well-known brands of bourbon. So let's go ahead, though, and dive right into this. Now, anyways, at this tasting a couple years ago, I was really pressing the distiller to really take some of, now at the time, really Washington's wine barrels and do a wine-finished bourbon or a wine-finished rye. And I did mention, because I believe this tasting was right after Hennessy purchased Woodinville, I did say, hey, you know, maybe if you get some of those Ardbeg or Glenmorangie barrels and maybe do some finishing there. And, you know, I'd like to think that my idea planted in that seed maybe it helped it along, but I know better. But it's something I like to think about. Anyways, so at another special release earlier in the fall, they had already bottled this, but because they didn't want to say anything, I was going around. I said, did you guys do a rye finish? Personally, I love the rye. The rye is one of the best ryes in the country, and I was hoping that it was one of their ryes that they had finished in an Ardbeg cask, but they were being really cagey because they didn't want to release the cat out of the bag. But I got the impression that it was Ardbeg, and I really wanted to say something, but I really kept my mouth shut. This was more hope for me at the time. But anyways, it ended up being their American whiskey, their blended American whiskey that they finished in an Ardbeg cask. Both Brett, Olin, and the distillers all said that their rye, the flavors were just too combative towards each other, and that the smoke, when it came to their bourbon, just really overwhelmed it. So let's go ahead right on the nose of this. There is that American, there's obviously a bourbon influence in this. New oak. There's vanilla. There's the toffee. Barrel sugars, there's a little bit of barrel bitterness. And that's the new American oak that they're using. But underlaying that, and for those that know Ardbeg, you know what I'm talking about. Ardbeg has a very meaty, savory, smoky finish to it, a smoky note to it, excuse me, not finish, but a smoky note to it that really is outstanding. It's there's a little bit of brine, there is a little bit of fruit, almost like a citrus note, no, not a citrus, but a sort of like a honey note. There's also a clove, a spice that Ardbeg brings, and it's not your baking spice, but it's that really intense clove note that I find that I just absolutely love, and that's kind of what really brings me to that smoked ham note. And I'm getting that on the nose, but it's not an Ardbeg overpowering note. Now, being outside here a little bit, and I'm just recovering from my upper respiratory infection, so my notes may be a little bit muted, but let's go ahead and take a sip. Now, this is a release you can only get at the distillery, and I think they're going to be doing more in the future, but maybe not with Ardbeg. So let's go ahead. Oh, right off the bat, this is one of the most drying whiskeys you'll have ever tasted. It immediately gives a drying sensation on the lips, the back of the lips, on the teeth. That there's a buttery toffee mixed with that honey note. You'll have to excuse me, I'm still recovering, but there is that savoriness, and the smoke really hits mid-palate, smooths out the flavors. That oak bitterness that you get a little bit on the nose from the triple barreling, there is none of that at all on the finish. There's none of that on the flavor at all, actually. But the vanilla, the toffee, the honey, the clove, the meatiness. This is outside of Woodinville's port finished bourbons. This is the most meaty, savory whiskey, I think, American craft whiskey I've had in quite some time. The only thing that I think that might be able to compare is, oh boy, I'm not sure there's really anything that you can compare that I've had. I had Balcones, and I can't remember which Balcones it was. This was when I was at a bar in Manhattan. It might have been their corn whiskey that I found very savory. Actually, you know what it was? It was Iron Root Republic's Harbinger that I had, that I did a review on. That also had a very chewy note to it, but this takes that chewy note and amplifies it. And for those, in the lighting here, this is a little bit more natural lighting outside. Excuse me. The legs on this are thick, they're long, they're slow. Fortunately, the lighting is waning here in the evening, but you know, this is a bottle I'm going to savor for a very, very long time. And if you are in the Seattle area and have a chance to go to their distillery, and if they have any more bottles of this, I suggest you buy it up. If you are an Ardbeg fan, and for those that are in the cult of Ardbeg, and yes, that is a thing, those in the whiskey tribe, you know what I'm talking about. You will absolutely love this. This is Ardbeg on the finish, but it's an American craft spirit up front that blends well, it plays well. And Brett and Olin, you guys were spot on. Your American blended whiskey really plays better with the Ardbeg than I'm sure that the rye or the bourbon did. So that being said, how many of you that are watching this were at the 10th anniversary celebration last weekend? Let me know down in the comments down below. Have you had any of Woodinville's products across the country? Now they are gaining national attention. I know Fred Minnick, did a blind taste test of their bourbon, and it came in right behind Pappy Van Winkle in his blind taste test. So I mean, Woodinville is doing things right. All I can say is that please, Brett and Olin and the staff up there at Woodinville, please continue doing what you're doing. Do it well, and I don't know, just keep doing it. This is absolutely a beautiful whiskey. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think, and let's go ahead and enjoy the rest of the month of February. I'm going to be doing some more Woodinville products here, but they do have another release coming up. I was only able to get one bottle of the Bottled and Bond, and I may or may not do a review of that as well, but I've got so many bottles of Woodinville whiskey anyways, it's hard not to choose. So that being said, Thank you very much for all my subscribers for being there. If you do like this content, please hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell icon right after that. And hit the thumbs up button too if you do like this content. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think. So, as always, still have the cough, still have the upper respiratory infection, but I'm doing this anyways. As always, please drink responsibly, and life is too short for either bad wine or bad whiskey. This is a beautiful expression of an American craft being blended, married with a beautiful Scotch Islay, smoky, peaty, beautiful bottle. Obviously, it was the barrel. So, cheers. Makes me want to have a slice of ham right now.